My name is Steve Bayshore, and I manage George Washington's gristmill and distillery site. And we just wrapped up making about 133 gallons of George Washington's whiskey, making it the old-fashioned way. So this particular run we just completed is the largest one we've done thus far. We ground about 3,500 pounds of grain, again fermented, did 24 barrels of fermentation, and then we ran 4 of the 5 stills that are in the building. So this was the most major effort thus far. Now, after we finish a run like that, we bottle half of the run usually, and that's unaged rye whiskey. So that goes right into bottles that are about pint size, and those are going to be sold on December 1st. The other half of the run we put into barrels with the charring on them, that is, the barrels have been burned out on the inside, so the whiskey will sit in barrels for 2 years minimum and age. And that's how our whiskey will take on that brown color most people are used to seeing in the liquor stores, and take on a different flavor of the barrel as it ages. Well, I think some people may figure, oh, this is done the old way, so it probably doesn't taste as good. Well, this is very good whiskey, and the proof is really in having a gentleman like Dave Pickerell, who was here, the master distiller. He used to work at Maker's Mark for about 14 years, so he's a real pro at this.
My name is Dave Pickerell, and I am a master distiller by trade. I own a small company that builds micro distilleries, and that's what I usually do for a living, and help people out. You know, whiskey is a drink of character. Rye whiskey in particular, I think rye whiskey is America's historic drink. You know, a lot of people say, well, bourbon is defined by act of Congress as a distinctive product of the United States, but the fact is that our patriots didn't just throw tea in Boston Harbor. They also eschewed the use of rum. And that didn't mean they were going to quit drinking. That just meant they were going to use local products, and that meant rye whiskey. And so rye whiskey was America's historical drink. The steps that we go through are the steps that you always go through when you make a good whiskey. You start with boiling water. We add little hops to it to help out. Then we cook all the grains. It takes a little bit extra time when you're stirring them in by hand. Then we let it cool down, and then we add yeast and let it ferment. And then after it's fermented for 3 to 5 days, then we're ready to distill it. And then we distill it multiple times depending on the product quality that we're after, just like George Washington did, and then it goes in bottles or barrels depending on whether we want to sell aged product or unaged product. The team of folks that we have here is just a marvelous team of people. They're very, very dedicated. They're all interpreters, which I think is phenomenal, because what it means is not only did they help make some really good whiskey and demonstrate that even though we're using old techniques and methods, that we can still make good, tasty product. But now when they go and interpret the site, they don't say, well, this is how it was done, or they can say, this is how I did it. And that's a much more powerful representation.